Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, practicing social distancing when your mask is needed, be respectful of others uh, and your loved ones. This is a video for Lamentations, which is just a short uh, book in the Bible between Jeremiah and Ezekiel. It's only 5 chapters long, so if you the preface, chapter 1 and 2. Again, I like this Bible because it has a preface telling about what the book is about. In their opinion. And I'll do 3, 4, and 5 on the next video. Lamentations it's been attributed to Jeremiah, although it may be according to this, there's many more writers. So it says, when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem and deported much of its population, some residents were left behind in terrible conditions in and around the shattered city. To express their deep shame and grief over the destruction of their home, they wrote songs about its desolation and about the sufferings they were witnessing and experiencing. The Book of Lamentations does not tell us who wrote these songs, although tradition ascribes them to Jeremiah. Here we witness people of faith putting into words their struggle to understand how God could have allowed the city they loved to be so devastated. So all throughout history, people have been struggling. How could you allow this? How can you allow it? Again, things happen as a result of mankind's free will choice. The original free will choice decision of one man, one woman, which started this whole ball rolling. But God knew it was going to happen. He knew all that, but we covered all that in previous messages received, explaining why God did that. It was, I believe, um, the message received was a conversation between God and Michael. Michael asking him why create man, his plan. He knew we were going to fail. He knew we weren't going to continue to go out and sin. And it's all about testing our love for him and our faith for him. But free will is all our choice. So things happen en masse, mankind's choices, and individually our own choices. There are sometimes God puts us through things, puts things upon us to test us, or to strengthen us, prepare us, delay us, all out of fatherly love. And there's other times we make a choice based on a temptation or something that darkness puts before us. That's why it's important to have those discernments. So if you know it's darkness, you can send it away. If you know that it's God, you can not fight it, just accept it, know it's for your own good. But the majority of the time, it's a result of our own choice. And even then, we still have a free will choice to accept it. No, Lord, I don't want this. I'm not going to put up with this. And that's your choice, but there's going to be consequences to all choices. Each of the 5 songs preserved in the book has 22 stanzas. So it's interesting on the significance of 22, but each of the 5 songs preserved in the book has 22 stanzas. The first 4 songs begin with the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet in consecutive order. In the third song, the letters are repeated at the start of each of the 3 lines in the stanza. There are few expressions of hope. So that was very interesting. Very interesting. There are few expressions of hope, but they are placed in the center of the book to give them extra prominence in a situation where they are badly needed. So always have hope. Once you lose hope, you're done. You're done for. Always have at least hope. Overall, this collection of laments reminds us that expressing anguish over a broken, fallen world is a legitimate part of the biblical drama. And expressing anguish, that's a human condition, it's a human emotions. I don't feel guilty about it. And guilt is one of the things that the devil wants you to hang on to. So just continue offering all this stuff up to him. Chapter 1. This is 1a. The little symbol A there means, okay, this chapter is an acrostic poem, the verses of which begin with the successive letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay. Chapter 1. How deserted lies the city, once so full of people. How like a widow is she, who once was great among the nations. She who was queen among the provinces has now become a slave. This may happen to individual countries, the United States, and other countries and individual cities brought low. Again, the Lord humbles all who exalt themselves. Bitterly she weeps at night, tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, there is no one to comfort her. All her neighbors, no one to comfort her. And this is kind of predicted uh, by some what will happen to this country. We see nations turned against us now, whether Trump president remains, will get worse, or Biden takes somebody new comes along. It's all part of God's plan. It's all part of God's plan, which is coming to fruition. After affliction and harsh labor, Judah has gone into exile. She dwells among the nations, she finds no resting place. All who pursue her have overtaken her in the midst of her distress. The roads to Zion mourn, for no one comes to her appointed festivals. All her gateways are desolate, her priests groan. Her young women grieve, and she is in bitter anguish. See, her priests groan, even the so-called leaders and shepherds were at a loss. They couldn't understand why. It shows the lack of leadership, the lack of truth. Her foes have become her masters, her enemies are at ease. The Lord has brought her grief because of her many sins. Her children have gone into exile, captives before the foe. Reminds me of all the people that left for Canada. All the splendor has departed from daughter Zion. Her princes are like deer that find no pasture. In weakness they have fled before the pursuer. In the days of her affliction, and our leaders, certainly if something happens in this country, they're going to bail out, many of them. In the days of her affliction and wandering, Jerusalem remembers all the treasures that were hers in days of old. When her people fell into enemy hands, there was no one to help her. Her enemies looked at her and laughed at her destruction. Jerusalem has sinned greatly and so has become unclean. All who honored her despise her, for they have all seen her naked. She herself groans and turns away. Her filthiness clung to her skirts. She did not consider her future. Her fall was astounding. There was none to comfort her. Look, Lord, on my affliction, for the enemy has triumphed. And if and when this happens in this country or to your town, your city, your state, your family, we all can relate to this at some point in our lives and what's coming ahead for a great many in this world. The enemy laid hands on all her treasures. She saw pagan nations enter her sanctuary. Those you had forbidden to enter your assembly. And we've seen that in this country. Other countries have seen it as well. All her people groan as they search for bread. They barter their treasures for food to keep themselves alive. Look, Lord, and consider it, for I am despised. Is it nothing to you, all you who pass by? Look around and see. Is any suffering like my suffering that was afflicted on me, that the Lord brought on me in the days of his fierce anger? And we all get frustrated and see we're suffering and going through difficult times. People pass us by and don't want to help us. And we've all been in the receiving end of that and the giving end of that, or not giving end of that, not helping others. From on high he sent fire, sent it down into bones. He spread a net for my feet and turned me back. He made me desolate, faint all the day long. My sins have been bound into a yoke. By his hands they were woven together. They have been hung on my neck, and the Lord has sapped my strength. In other editions, according to this, is a footnote. The line, my sins have been bound into a yoke, states that most Hebrew manuscripts, many Hebrew manuscripts, and Septuagint, which is one of the early versions of the Bible, which the present one was taken from, that line was read, he kept watch over my sins. He has given me into the hands of those I cannot stand. The Lord has rejected all the warriors in my midst. He has summoned an army against me to crush my young men. In his winepress the Lord has trampled virgin Judah. There's some footnotes here. He summoned an army against me to crush my young men. Or another translation was, or has set a time for me when he will put my young men, people into his winepress. Kind of ties into what's going on now with the harvest going on. Another footnotes. I'm going to try to catch these footnotes, which I haven't been doing. This is why I weep and my eyes overflow with tears. No one is near to comfort me, no one to restore my spirit. My children are destitute because the enemy has prevailed. We feel that feeling of loneliness and being alone and abandoned. Again, we've all been there. We've all gonna be one of us gonna be there, or maybe there now. Especially in times of virus, we maybe all these that are in the hospital and feel so alone because they can't have their families around them. Feel abandoned. So we be turning to God. Turning to God. Zion stretches out her hands, but there is no one to comfort her. The Lord has decreed for Jacob that his neighbors become his foes. Jerusalem has become an unclean thing among them. The Lord is righteous, yet I rebelled against his command. Listen, all you peoples, look at my suffering. My young men and young women have gone into exile. I called my allies, but they betrayed me. My priests and my elders perished in the city while they searched for food to keep themselves alive. So you talk about the priests and the elders and the leaders. They're going to be looking out for themselves. See, Lord, how distressed I am. I am in torment within. And in my heart I am disturbed, for I have been most rebellious. Outside the sword bereaves, inside there is only death. People have heard my groaning, but there is no one to comfort me. All my enemies have heard of my distress. They rejoice at what you have done. May you bring the day you have announced, so that it may become like me. Let all the wickedness come before you. Deal with them as you have dealt with me because of all my sins. My groans are many, and my heart is faint. So again, speaking about all these people have heard us groan. Again, we've all been through this. When we're down low, difficult times. People hear us. They want nothing to do with us. They slowly drift away. It's when we find out our true loved ones, our true friends, the truth about people that we had in our life. The ones that aren't there, that prove to be false. These are why you need to be cutting from your life. You don't want to be like these people on Facebook, or just, oh, I got an Instagram and so forth, Twitter. All these people, all my friends, look at all the friends I got. Friend me. They're not your friends. Go through a difficult time. Make something up. You can test them. Make something up. And see who sticks around. And who replies to you. That's how you can filter out these people. Chapter 2 starts with a footnote. Just mentioned that this is another acrostic poem, the Hebrew letters. How the Lord has covered daughter Zion with the cloud of his anger. He has hurled down the splendor of Israel from heaven to earth. He has not remembered his footstool in the day of his anger. It seems like he's forgotten us, forgotten his promise to us. Again, ask yourself, so what have I done? What choice have I made that may have led me to this place? Have I chosen my own path, walk my own direction? Have I chosen to go do something or follow something recently or decades ago? Have I chosen to do something that I shouldn't have done? That brought this upon me, that led me down a path that led me to this point? Ask us, think back about choices. Give me discernment, Lord, as to why this is happening. Without pity, the Lord has swallowed up all the dwellings of Jacob. In his wrath, he has torn down the strongholds of daughter Judah. He has brought her kingdom and its princes down to the ground in dishonor. In fierce anger, he has cut off every horn of Israel. We've got two footnotes to the horn there, D and E. Horn here symbolizes strength, all the strength for every king. So fierce anger has cut off every horn of Israel, every king, every strength, stronghold of Israel. He has withdrawn his right hand at the approach of the enemy. He has burned in Jacob like a flaming fire that consumes everything around it. Like an enemy, he has strung his bow, his right hand is ready. Like a foe, he has slain all who were pleasing to the eye. He has poured out his wrath like fire on the tent of daughter Zion. Like a foe, he has slain all who were pleasing to the eye. It sounds like self-idolatry, or self-worship, or seeking the worship of others. Think highly of themselves. Basically, he's humbled those who have exalted themselves. The Lord is like an enemy. He has swallowed up Israel. He has swallowed up all her palaces and destroyed her strongholds. He has multiplied mourning and lamentation for daughter Judah. He has laid waste his dwelling like a garden. He has destroyed his place of meeting, which would be his gathering place, these tents, these churches, which he will do. All nation, all churches. It's like the revelations, in the visible understanding of revelations. The Lord has made Zion forget her appointed festivals and her Sabbaths. In his fierce anger, he has spurned both king and priest. The Lord has rejected his altar and abandoned his sanctuary. Again, priests, not speaking priests like Catholic priests, speaking all religious leaders. The Lord has rejected his altar and abandoned his sanctuary. Because he's everywhere. He's not housed in a building, a glass of stone, or anything else like that. In a place, he's everywhere and everything. He's rejected the physical manifestations that mankind has built. He's not there. You don't have to go there to be with God. He's inside of you. A piece of him is inside of you. Your soul's a piece of him. Like Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is inside you all. That's what he's talking about. He's given the walls of her palaces into the hands of the enemy. They have raised a shout in the house of the Lord as on the day of an appointed festival. Which it was appointed. All these things happened were appointed by God. Specific times. The Lord determined to tear down the wall around daughter Zion. He stretched out a measuring line, did not withhold his hand from destroying. He made ramparts and walls lament. Together they wasted away. Nothing will stand against him. Her gates have sunk into the ground, their bars he has broken and destroyed. Her king and her princes are exiled among the nations. The law is no more, and her prophets no longer find visions from the Lord. All those who are false prophets be shut off. The elders of daughter Zion sit on the ground in silence. They sprinkle dust on their heads and put on sackcloth, lamenting their what they have done, how they have failed. Which would be a good thing for them. So they become penitent. Young women of Jerusalem have bowed their heads to the ground. My eyes fail from weeping. I am in torment within. My heart is poured out on the ground because my people are destroyed, because children and infants faint in the streets of the city. And many of them will lament and wail upon what they have seen and experienced. This is good to these speaking here of those who are full of tears and pain and sorrow for what they are seeing others go through. And that's a good thing for them. So their empathy, compassion, sympathy. They say to their mothers, "Where is bread and wine?" as they faint like the wounded in the streets of the city, as their lives ebb away in their mother's arms. What can I see? It's what people say, turn away from God. I think seeing this happen to children and innocents, like, how can a loving God allow this to happen? Again, a person or peoples or nations or mankind all free will choices that led to this suffering. And the devil sets him up to fail in people's eyes by through religion. Oh, God will take care of this, loving, give you everything you want. And when it doesn't work out that way, well, God's a lie. When you turn from God, that's how the devil tricks you. Tricks so many people. Always ask for that discernment. Have a one-on-one relationship with God. I've said it many times. Ask for that discernment. Ask him to teach you to see his truth, his wisdom, things from his perspective, untainted by humankind. And then you'll understand why. What can I say for you? With what can I compare you, daughter Jerusalem? To what can I liken you that I may comfort you, virgin daughter Zion? Your wound is as deep as the sea. Who can heal you? Only God. What can I say for you? What can I say to you? What can I do for you? I don't know what to do. How can we help you? People don't not feel helpless and how to help themselves and others. What can I compare you to? What is this like? What can I liken you that may comfort you? What can I give you examples of what others gone through and got through? Well, ask God to help you, to help others. Who can heal you? God, Jesus. The visions of your prophets were false and worthless, as they were. All these false prophets in this modern age. They did not expose your sin to ward off your captivity. The prophecies they gave you were false and misleading. And it goes on every day. All who pass your way clap their hands at you. They scoff and shake their heads at daughter Jerusalem. Is this the city that was called the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Or does this country, other countries fall, or people fall? People that laugh at you. People that are happy to see you suffering. As it says in Ezekiel, all those examples. Those people will suffer. The ones that did it to the innocent and to God's people, and those who stood by did nothing, and those who stood by and rejoiced at the suffering of others, of God's people. They're going to pay a heavy price. All your enemies open their mouths wide against you. They scoff and gnash their teeth and say, "We have swallowed her up. This is the day we have waited for. We have lived to see it." Sounds like all those that hate the United States, or hate the West, or hate all Christians, or hate the Jews, hate Israel. The Lord has done what he planned. He has fulfilled his word which he decreed long ago. He has overthrown you without pity. He has let the enemy gloat over you. He has exalted the horn of your foes. And he humbles us, brings many low, just so that he can raise us up as an example of his glory and power to others. The hearts of the people cry out to the Lord. You walls of daughter Zion, let your tears flow like a river day and night. Give yourself no relief, your eyes no rest. Arise, cry out in the night as the watches of the night begin. Pour out your heart like water in the presence of the Lord. Lift up your hands to him for the lives of your children who faint from hunger at every street corner. Give thanks to him no matter what. Ask for his help always, good times and bad. Have that relationship with him. Look to him, seek him. Look, Lord, and consider, whom have you treated like this? Should women eat their offspring, the children they have cared for? Should priest and prophet be killed in the sanctuary of the Lord? We're asking us, is this what we should be doing? Is this what we should be brought to? Is this the lowness we've been brought to? Young and old lie together in the dust of the streets. My young men and young women have fallen by the sword. You have slain them in the day of your anger. You have slaughtered them without pity. And those are, again, it's their time anyways. Everybody passes at the exact time they were supposed to pass. How they pass, these ones that I'm mentioning, those are going to pass in violence and upheaval. They're supposed to pass, they just happened to be the way they passed. Nothing could have prevented that. Now, what happens after that? Whether you go to the directly judgment line and make the wrong choice, you do now, all they pass now, make that choice as they pass. Go to the light, or not, in which case they go, if they're not ready, they can't let go of something in this world, something within, then they're going to go straight to judgment line. Again, it's a very long line. As you summoned to a feast day, so you summoned against me terrors on every side. In the day of the Lord's anger, no one escaped or survived. Those I cared for and reared, my enemy has destroyed. And you have no control over that. Friend or foe, loved one or enemy, you have no control over when it's their time. Be thankful for their time. Be thankful for protecting against them if they're a foe. Thankful for the time with them, your time with them, their time with you. And pray when their time comes, if you can't help them to let go. Use as lessons that, hey, now, I can go at any time. I need to start letting go. Turn to the Lord before it's too late. So end that there. Pick up on chapter 3, 4, and 5 next time. And then we'll be on to Jeremiah, which is a long book. That one is 50, almost 50 chapters. And then before that is Isaiah, which is 66 chapters. Which is even longer. And then I think we go into Song of Solomon, which is Song of Songs, which is short. And Ecclesiastes is very important. Proverbs important. Psalms the most important in the Bible, in my opinion. So we'll be getting into some important stuff here pretty soon. So, word of the Lord, peace of Christ, God bless, stay safe. Amen.